Hello guys and welcome. We are just waiting for the premiere of Let's Talk About Quantum Tech in Satisfactory, and I am super excited for this. Now it is going to start in a few minutes. We've got 7 minutes left. What I plan to do with this video is to really break down what we see really quickly as a kind of first reactions. You may see me sporting some FICSIT merch at the moment. If you are interested in getting your own FICSIT merch ready for 1.0, then do use my link in the description below. Along with free shipping, I think over $40, you can also get a free pack of stickers or a free plushie. I was going to say a free slushie. Guys, let me know if you'd like me to stream next Friday for the penultimate video for 1.0. Perhaps we'll start stream early, have a laugh, and wait for this. But here we go. Let's get started.
We're going to talk about quantum tech today. What did we see? We saw like a shiny new belt. What is that? That is the Mark 6 belt. Right? So there's another.
Okay.
The other new machine we're adding in Tier 9 is called the quantum encoder. So oh geez, what the shit? Why is this so loud? Holy shit, what's going on? What the shit is going on out here?
Summer Sloop.
Holy shit, lasers!
All right, so I said I was going to do a basic reaction and say my thoughts, but that video alone has changed pretty much everything in Satisfactory when it comes to how we're going to be playing the game. And I'm not sure I can break down all of my reasons why as to why that's going to happen in this video, because we are going to, you know, screw it and break down that video now, but we might need to do a follow-up one because it's gonna be a long video. Now, obviously, straight off the bat, we do a lot of speculating, and we have definitely got a few things wrong for this video, but we also got a lot right. Now, the first thing that we get shown off in the video is actually the Mark 6 belts. So that's going to give us a max throughput of 1,200 items per minute, which is pretty crazy because what that allows us to do is to make the most of our pure nodes that we have around the map. And I was just doing a little bit of very basic maths, and I realized that it would give us 420 or extra per pure node that we have, which is a substantial boost to the max production rate come 1.0. But if we take, 40 pure nodes that we have in the map, I think we actually have more than that. I think it's nearer to 50, but we do have some changes coming. But we take those 40 pure nodes, times them by 420, that's just under 17,000 resources extra to play around with. Now this, as Snut rightly points out, is why there was such a huge rebalance of nodes that they mentioned in the previous videos. And we had actually correctly speculated that that could have been the reason as to why they were doing it, but this still leaves the question in my mind: what is the Tier 6 belt made from? I'm tempted to say it's something like the time crystals and a new Fixonium resource, but enough with the speculation there. We don't have enough to go on. It's just, I'm so excited for it. There must be a balance to make it not too easy for us to just spam them everywhere. It must be a really late game resource. Now, speaking of late game, Tier 9 tech is quantum tech. That's what all this video was about. So we know that we need to launch the 4th space elevator tier to gain access to all of this. Now, presumably that goes for the 3 new buildings that we've seen to date as well. Now, the first building to be broken down is going to be the converter, and it is another huge game changer for Satisfactory. So we were part right with this. We noticed that there was the new ingot production and the new piped resource without an input. But who could have guessed that the converter is also able to take raw resources and convert them to another resource? Now, looking at the production, it will be costly. Presumably in its power, it is fluctuating power as well, but that does mean that we're going to have more of an importance on using power storage, which I don't think many people make that much use of in their factories at the moment. So that's a cool little change. But also, in regards to its consuming of raw resources to convert them, such as 8 sulfur and let's say the contained SAM ore, it's a working name. You know what, looking at the previous items that were redacted, I think this could be the SAM fluctuator that's going into the converter. After all, we know that it's a component used to build the converter, and that's what Snut mentions in the video.
This is like one of the only resources in the game that is produced by a machine that doesn't require any input. And that is because the excited photonic matter is being produced from the converter by the fact that it is built by fluctuators.
And doesn't the ending sound like fluctuators? Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but I think we're onto something there. Now in this shot, we can actually see what looks to be all of the converter recipes. They do gloss over a few of them, but in order to produce the nitrogen gas here, we can see that the required input of deuterium, so that's the item that's in the brackets beneath the resource, and we can also see that it requires the contained SAM ore as well. And I did also want to just point out the nitrogen's info. We haven't touched on this in a while, but it hasn't changed, but it does state that it's used in cooling, which is obviously for the cooling units, but also in metallurgy as well, which up until now we haven't really used it for. So perhaps we'll have some new uses for nitrogen for when 1.0 comes for refining different metals. And we had speculated that at the time with the use of nitric acid for that. The second use for the converter is producing the FICSIT ingots, which combine iron ingots, deuterium or aluminium ingots with the contained SAM ore, and we were pretty much spot on with this, though I suggested it might need deuterium and aluminium to produce rather than one or the t'other. Now this new shiny ingot is used to produce the FICSIT trigons that will be used in late tier parts, and the converter can also produce the new time crystal. Also notice the new beams at this moment in the clip. It looks pretty nice in the background. I'm very excited to be using them. Now the time crystal is produced with diamonds, which was our initial guess as to what was being produced in the particle accelerator, though I did go on to speculate that it could be some kind of aerogel as well. And for this, you're going to use the huge swathes of coal. We knew it was going to be coal intensive, but it's 600 coal to be exact, according to Snut, in return for 30 diamonds. Now, this is why they have added a lot more coal on the map, as these time crystals are going to be used in quite a few of the late game items. The converter has 2 conveyor inputs along with 1 conveyor output and 1 pipe output. This is important as its third use is to produce the excited photonic matter, which is its own state, so it's not a liquid, a gas or a plasma as we were all speculating in the video, but something overly complicated and really not worth explaining. It acts like a gas. I'm going to keep calling it a gas. I mean, my head at this moment in time is just hurting trying to understand all of this, but this matter doesn't require an output, as we mentioned. So we were right in regards to that, and presumably it's producing them from the energy, and also thanks to it being built with the redacted SAM ore material. Now, in my previous video, I did mention that this material was used in the quantum encoder and that all the quantum encoder recipes would output this particular byproduct, and this does seem to be the case. So I'd say that we were part right on this anyway, but more on the dark matter residue later. That's this pink, not plasma or gas resource. Although one important point to note is that the new non-gas material does act like a gas, as I mentioned, so presumably we don't need to be using pumps in our pipelines for our network, which is a bit of a relief given the complexity of this. Next, we have the second machine. Now, this is the quantum encoder, which produces the most complicated items in game. Now, this is going to be using a lot of power. Similarly to the converter and the particle accelerator, these do fluctuate in power consumption as well, and I believe there are 5 recipes. I may be mistaken. Now, the first one we can actually see here is producing the neural quantum processor, which is requiring the excited photonic matter, the time crystals, FICSIT, trigons, and supercomputers to be produced. Now, these supercomputers, as we correctly speculated, have been remeshed with the old quantum computer mesh. So the quantum computer has been removed from the game, and the reason for this is that they felt odd producing quantum computers, then putting them into the quantum encoder, which was exactly my thought when 1.0's teaser was first released. So though a few of you make fun of me speculating in these videos, we do seem to be pretty much spot on with that, and we tend to be pretty accurate actually when it comes to most things, though we do make the odd mistake. The next recipe is the superposition oscillator, which uses the excited photonic matter, the alclad aluminium sheets, crystal oscillators, and the dark matter crystal. Now, this is what we were calling the quantum crystals in the previous video, which look pretty awesome. I'm loving the dark looking crystal in the center. Now, to create these dark matter crystals, you'll combine the dark matter residue with the diamonds in the particle accelerator. But what really makes this interesting is that the dark matter residue is a byproduct that needs to be used up. You can't just combine it with a packager and package it and then sync it, which means there'll be more of an importance on efficient factories in the late game. And from this point onwards, if I do refer to the dark matter residue, I'll probably just call it dark matter from now on, just to make it easier on us. Now, our third recipe is the AI expansion server. So this is the first of presumably a few space elevator parts. We know there's at least another one coming, and this is produced by combining the excited photonic matter. We need a new name for that. That is far too complicated. Goodness me. We're going to be combining that with the superposition oscillators, the neural quantum processors, and the magnetic field generators. Do note that we won't need batteries for them any longer, which we correctly speculated in a previous video as well. But that's not all. We can also produce the synthetic power shards now by combining dark matter crystal with quartz crystal and time crystals, along with the EPM, right? The photonic matter, EPM for now. This won't replace the slug hunting that we can do in the early game, but it will be great for our late game factories, as you'll now be able to automate their production to make factories more efficient by overclocking everything. And I do hope that this means that we'll also be able to copy and paste overclocks in everything now. So things like power plants and water extractors, which we can't currently. Otherwise, it's just, I'm gonna have to place hundreds of shards in my extractors. Now, finally, we have Fixonium, which is produced in the particle accelerator and can be used to produce the Fixonium fuel rods that, as we suspected, will be used for another power source, though it's not fusion technology, I'm afraid to say, or at least I don't think it is. Fixonium will be useful as it recycles plutonium waste into another fuel rod that does not produce waste, but the trade-off here is that it's the worst fuel cell to use in a nuclear reactor. I'm not quite sure what this means. It could mean that it's highly irradiated, or perhaps generates the least amount of power. But if that's the case, I'm not really that concerned, because we're going to have both a uranium fuel cell nuke plant as well as a plutonium fuel cell plant up and running to run this production tree. So, I mean, it's free power essentially. Now the Fixonium is produced by combining the dark matter with the plutonium waste and singularity cells, and these singularity cells are made combining nuclear pasta with dark matter crystals, iron plates and concrete, which means the Fixonium fuel rods is going to be quite an expansive production tree, but well worth it once you have it up and running. And don't worry, when I get a free minute in 1.0, we will be working out some kind of efficient build layout for you guys so that you can quickly build that yourself. Oh, and the fuel rods are produced in the quantum encoder by combining the EPM, the photonic matter, with fixite trigons, electromagnetic control rods, and Fixonium. Whew, goodness me, it is a lot to really play around with, isn't it? Honestly, this is such a massive change to the game that I think I'll probably need at least another video to really break down the reasons as to why it's such a game changer. So let me know if that is something that you'd like to see in a video soon, and why not check out my penultimate Satisfactory Let's Play episode next, because we're working on the finale right now and it's going to be a good one. Oh wait, I've almost jumped too far ahead. We also forget one big thing. So the teaser for, I presume, the next week's video. But before we do, Snut does tease that there's going to be a change to blueprints. Now this could be a red herring, or they could actually have a new change. I've mentioned this for a while though, that I think that they will bring a second tier variant of the blueprint designer, which will be slightly larger so that we can maybe do railway blueprints. But anyway, let's get to the teaser. So here we can see that there is a new machine that is using, or extracting by the looks of it, some summer sloop. Now I presume this is creating a new item that we can use in our machines, like I spoke about in my previous video, which by the looks of it is allowing us to duplicate items in the machine, so we output double the amount. But this could be something else entirely. I also think that this machine will be used for the Mercer spheres as well, but who knows what that'll do. I'm still betting on either some kind of wireless power or teleportation, whether that's for your inventory items or for ourselves. Oh, and also whilst we're here, does this look like a new wall, or is this a hexagonal glass with a grey reflection? Let me know in the comments below, but we are going to leave it there. Guys, thank you so much for watching, but until next time, do check out my video over here, and we'll see you. Special thanks does go to all of our amazing supporters on Patreon, most notably our Solarclipse patron Fireflash, as well as our Lunas, The Calamity, Ben and Star, and our Blood Moon of the day, which today is Brain Slug. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.